Welcome back everyone to another Reddit Stories. We're going to do Tales from the Customer. Haven't touched this one in a while. These are basically stories from Reddit where people have interacted with people in customer service. Treated like a loyalty card scammer. I just went to a cafe on my college campus. The cafe has loyalty cards, which are paper that get hole punched every time you buy a coffee, and the 8th or 9th one is free. I hand over my loyalty card and the owner looks at my card for a long minute and says, "Oh, we don't use round hole punchers," implying that I've been taking my own conventional round hole puncher to get myself closer to my free drink. My card has 4 star/heart holes and a round one. I've been coming to this cafe for a long time since it opened, and remember them using round hole punchers when they first opened. They now use star/heart shaped hole punchers, but they definitely still have a round hole puncher. I said that, and the owner still goes in a deadpan voice, "Yeah, we don't use round hole punchers, for your information," and then moved on to the next customer. Now I feel offended and insulted. Vent over. Edit. There are 5+ employees in addition to the owner who serve customers and do the hole punching. So this person says they go to this coffee shop all the time. I don't know what that means. I mean, it could be every day, it could be every few days or so, but I don't know. The owner looks at the card and sees at least that this person has shopped there at least 2 or 3 times before, had the hearts and star punches on it, but then question the other one. I mean, the loyalty card is to bring the customer back, right? So let's just assume that, yeah, she is scamming the system and using 1 extra hole. Like, coffee's cheap, right? Even the fancy stuff, it's still just coffee beans and water. So why won't you just overlook it and just go on and just say, okay, whatever. But even if making a big deal about it, you may catch someone stealing that extra free 1/10 of a coffee. I mean, there's a chance that they're not stealing and you're losing a customer over it. So why question it? I can see a random employee questioning it maybe, but not the owner. The owner should know better. Anyway, we don't use round hole punchers. We only use the Hello Kitty ones. I mean, if his excuse for, not believing her is saying that, oh, you're using the wrong hole punch, well, your whole security check about it being a star or a heart isn't really that good because people can still buy those. So if you're worried about people scamming the system, then why use a hole punch at all? Why not just initial it or something? At least you can tell people's handwriting and stuff. Sure, it can be copied too, but I don't know. It's coffee. Why make a big deal about it? Server completely ignored our table. We wanted to go out for breakfast this morning and decided on Old Country breakfast spot. Usually we go first thing in the morning to avoid the crowds, especially on a Sunday, but today I took my sweet time to get out of bed. We decided if we get there and wait 45 minutes or less, we'll wait. We arrive. There's a 20-minute wait, which is not bad at all. We wait outside on the rocking chairs because it's starting to get crowded inside. A few minutes pass and we're getting called and sat. Our waitress greets us and takes our drinks order and gives us a few minutes to think about our food. We order our food and everything is going well. Better than normal, really. I do need to mention now that my natural expression is not exactly friendly. I call it resting a-hole face. I try really hard to be overly friendly with restaurant staff and rarely get upset if anything is wrong with my order unless it's completely inedible, and even then I simply ask for my food to be taken off the bill and I don't order anything else. I think that's happened twice in my life. Most of my family and friends have worked in the restaurant industry in some way or another, and I can completely sympathize when things go wrong. Anyway, back to the story. Our food comes out and my wife's biscuits are missing, and we're told by our waitress that it'll be 3 minutes until they're ready. We appreciate that they brought out the rest of the food instead of letting it get cold waiting for biscuits. My wife asks for apple butter and hot sauce, and after a few minutes, a different waitress brings it out with a small biscuit that was obviously overcooked, with the promise of more biscuits in 4 minutes. My wife is eating slow because she doesn't want to fill up because we mostly wanted to have breakfast there because of the biscuits. Eventually, she relents and eats the rest of her meal and decides when the biscuits eventually come out, she'll get them to go. Meanwhile, we see our waitress help the table next to us and behind us and completely ignore us. If she had just come by to check on us, or apologize and offer us anything to make up for the lack of biscuits, everything would have been fine and we would have gone along our merry way. Instead, we get the cold shoulder. I try to get her attention and she just walks by. At this restaurant, I always have gotten the check in the middle of us eating, after they make sure we don't need anything else, even when they're busy. Especially when they're busy, because I know they're just trying to turn tables as soon as possible. She doesn't even come by to drop off the check. We finish our meal, which we ate slower than normal in hope of biscuits, and even waited a few minutes for our waitress to show up and give us their check. After we're both out of coffee, we head up to the registers and let the cashier know we'd like to pay, but we never got our check. She asks for our server name and what we ordered, and we gave her the info. When she gets back, she asks if we'd like to speak to the manager. We do, and we tell her what happened, and she said that she'll speak to her server right away, and I let her know that's all we want. I honestly didn't even want anything taken off the bill as we ate the rest of the food. The manager still gives us a discount, and I pay and leave a small tip. I hate not leaving a tip because it all just doesn't communicate anything to our server about what they did wrong, and I know they make their living off of tips. Also, at the start of our meal, everything went so great, and we were completely shocked, and the way the service went downhill. The manager was shocked too when we told her who our server was, so I imagine this wasn't normal for her. If any servers are reading this, please communicate with your customers when things go wrong. I personally would be completely understanding with an explanation and an apology. It seems like a small gesture, but it makes all the difference in the world. So, as I was reading the story, a couple of things jumped out at me. One, it was Labor Day weekend on a Sunday. The guy said he wanted to go to breakfast with his wife, but he slept in. They got there, and then they waited 20 minutes before they were able to be seated. So, this implies, he even says, that they went outside to sit on the rocking chairs, because it was crowded inside. So this tells me that they were busy because it was Labor Day weekend here in America, and it sounds like that they probably got there around 11 o'clock or 12, which would probably be where there'd be a shift change. That or a lunch break for someone. So they go sit down and they probably get waitress A, and then that waitress either goes to lunch or goes home, and waitress B comes by, was told, hey, this biscuit goes out to this table, go and hand it to him, not knowing that she was supposed to cover for the table. So if you want to look at it this way, the waitress ignored the table and still got a little bit of a tip for it. She probably had no idea that was supposed to have been her table, was told, hey, just bring this biscuit out for table blank, and that's it. And she got a tip for it, so hey, free money for ignoring a table, I guess. Aren't you a little old to be shopping here? This happened a while ago, but it still bothers me. I worked at a bank. I'll admit I was wearing a business suit and heels, which might have given me the appearance of someone older, maybe more mature. However, that is no excuse. I stopped into the mall after work one day. I was looking for a cute outfit for an end-of-summer barbecue at my friend's house. So I browsed around and eventually found myself at a store that has a 2-digit number in their name. They had some cute stuff, including a really adorable wrap-style shirt with little butterflies on it, but they only had it in extra small and extra large, and I needed it in a medium. I could have made do with an L, but the XL just didn't hang right on me. So I went to find an associate to see if they had any more in stock, or if they could see another location's inventory. The only 2 employees in sight were chatting back in the fitting rooms. Yes, you read that correctly. No one was manning a register, despite there being several people in the store who might have wanted to make a purchase. I head over there and awkwardly browsed around the clearance rack, waiting for a break in their conversation. I'm not great with people, honestly, and I don't feel like interrupting them if I could help it. I hovered closer and closer until it became pretty apparent that they weren't just having a quick chat, and that if I waited for one of them to help me, I'd be waiting a long time. So I decided to pipe up and get going at a reasonable hour. Excuse me, I said politely, if a bit too cheerily. I was wondering if you might have this top in another size? Without even looking over at me, the shorter of the pair cuts me off with a sharp, no. Okay. Well, do you know if another store nearby has one available? She rolls her eyes at her compatriot, clearly aware that I can see her. Then she actually takes a look at the shirt and subsequently at me for the first time. Aren't you a little old to be shopping here? She snaps, a judgmental pout contacting her facial features. I was 22. Yeah. Okay. I shoved the shirt into her hands and marched straight out of the store and haven't set foot in one since. Actually, something, I don't know if this is similar, but something like this kind of happened to me just recently. I think it was just Saturday or Sunday. No, it was Saturday. So Saturday I drive 2 hours from where I live to go see some Native American pictographs here in Utah. I posted a picture of them on the community part on the channel. If you guys wanted to check it out, it's actually pretty cool. Anyway, I drive 2 hours and I'm about 45 minutes away from the pictographs, and I decide I want to go into a Subway that's in a gas station. So I go into the gas station and they have some frozen water, ice. They have some ice. Basically, it's water bottles that are frozen. It's a really hot day, so I thought I'd grab some of those with me to go. And I wait in line at the gas station. I'm like, you know what? There's no one in line over at Subway, but yeah, I'll just go and order my sandwich in just a second. So I'm in line, and a couple minutes go by. I finally got rung up, and then I go over to Subway. And I go over there, and there's a lady there with a list. She's ordering, I kid you not, like 6 or 7 sandwiches. And they're from obviously 6 or 7 different people. And they all have different things going with them. Like, this one wants no mayo. This one wants pickles, lettuce, tomato, you know, Subway stuff. And I'm just standing there. I'm just like... It's literally the last possible place to get any sort of food before you go on this drive. And there's nothing on this drive other than like fields and mountains. And the next closest place to me is like 3 miles away, backtracking. So I'm like, okay, I'll just sit here and wait. So I'm sitting there and waiting. And there are 4 people back there making sandwiches. And they're just chatting with this lady. I'm just standing there, and they're having a conversation while they're trying to, fix all these sandwiches. And there are people there. There's a line of people that are starting to form behind me. Eventually, some people behind me leave because these people are just chatting. Now, it's like they would talk for like 10, 15 seconds and be like, oh, what did the sandwich want again? Oh, yeah, I want it toasted. And then they go back to chatting. And I'm just standing there like, are you kidding me? I didn't say anything, because I'm not in that area and I never frequent that shop, and I'll never see these people again ever. So whatever, it doesn't matter to me. But a similar situation where they were chatting, but it was with another customer. So I guess it's okay. But they definitely had multiple people leave that were behind me waiting to order sandwiches while they're just sitting there helping this lady make these 5 or 6 monstrosities. And it wasn't just one person that was chatting with her. Like, they started on one sandwich, they got it toasted, whatever, and they were ready for the vegetables. But the girl that was putting meats and stuff on another sandwich was sitting there chatting with her, and the girl that was waiting for veggies was just standing there, just like, any second now. And then she would go and be like, oh, I want this kind of veggies, of these veggies on that sandwich. And then she would be chatting with her as she's putting the stuff on. And it just made the process go so slow with 4 people back there. 4 people, and this is no exaggeration, it took 20 minutes for her to order her order. And then I started making my order, and then she said, oh, I forgot one more sandwich. And they started making it, started making it for her behind mine, which was okay for me, but it wasn't okay for the people behind me. Like, there are just so many times in customer service where you just want to be like, I hope the manager can see this at one point. I hope someone's taking a photo of this. Because I'm not opposed to taking photos of like clumps of people in customer service that are just hovering around, just chit-chatting with people when people need help. I've done it before where I've taken photos of people, like groups of employees just chatting with each other when there are people like waiting in line. Because here in America, it's legal for me to do that, I can take a photo of anyone, anywhere in a public place. Where it's on private property, they can request for me to leave, but I can still take their photo. It's no problem because it's a public place. and I tweet that photo to whatever company I'm at. I'm like, hey, at this store, this is what happened. And you know what? Those employees will get talking to. Now, I'm not just a negative Nancy that will just sit there and like chastise employees for not paying attention to me. I've often praised employees and sent messages to their bosses and stuff, but you know, you gotta praise some good employees, and you also gotta like narc on some terrible employees, because if you don't, they're gonna be there again next time you go there. Anyway, thank you again for joining me on another Reddit story thing, Tales from the Customer. So I made a realization that I sound better through my microphone if my microphone is here as opposed to over here where I've had it before. So believe it or not, it sounds better if I have it closer to me and I'm speaking into it. I know, weird concept, right? Anyway, so hey, I might actually sound better. You might be able to hear the sounds of my soothing voice. That's right, even closer. Ladies. Okay, that sounded creepy. Anyway, thanks again for watching. If you liked what you saw, give me a thumbs up, share with a friend, and subscribe if you haven't. And I will see you guys in the next video. So until then, later kids.